This podcast is rated PG. Parental guidance suggested. Some material may not be suitable for children.
We watched all the Indiana Jones movies. Can you believe it? It's the one
the relevant ones.
There's only 3 Indiana Jones movies. That's right.
Yeah.
And we watched the the one that's not on
just
the
like
list.
Star Wars.
Exactly. There's only 3, and they're great, and they all involve Lucas. And TC hasn't seen this one, I don't think.
This one was new for you as well, as like Raiders.
And we're fresh off Raiders.
The entire thing was new to me.
The entire idea of Gali Ma was new to you. A mumshy bum.
Yeah, there was quite a bit of random shit in this one.
Yeah.
What did you think?
I think they built a lot of stuff. And that's about all.
What do they do with it?
On.
What do they do with it?
They built things.
So I laughed hysterically when they went the raft, when they went off the,
that was fun.
Off the cliff.
Yeah, right. Raft off the cliff.
I burst out laughing.
Yes. I don't think it's meant to be taken seriously.
No.
Right?
I know. I mean, it was just, and then the secondary one, which was when they fly from one rail to the other rail. Like they're on a skateboard.
Yeah.
I mean, there was just so much ridiculous shit in this one. Short Round is awesome. I mean, why does he still talk like that? That's
I don't know.
I was like, wow, they weren't kidding. He really does sound like that.
Yeah.
He had a lot of great one-liners, didn't he?
Yes, he did. Star of the movie.
Yeah, I mean, really. If you listen to me, you might not die.
He outdid Indiana in this one.
Yeah, he did. That's true. Apparently, according to the Wikipedia page, Harrison Ford stole some of his one-liners too. He had even more.
Oh damn.
Wow. And did he come up with them himself, or did they write those in?
Oh, they wrote. I think they were all written. I don't know how much ad-libbing there was. Apparently, Harrison Ford was miserable on this one too.
He looked miserable.
He got severely injured during this movie.
Severe herniated disc.
Yeah.
Oh no.
They had to. Well, they were going to stop production, but they sent him back. Well, we can get into it. But he basically had to have back surgery, and they filmed a bunch of action scenes with a body double, and that's in the movie while they waited for him to recover.
Like when he was on the raft.
Yeah.
Because I could tell, and some other things.
No.
There was nobody on the raft. Those are all like dummies and shit. Some of the this movie won an Academy Award for special effects, and it deserves it.
It looks good.
Some of the
Except
effects
for that
look
last
really
one
good.
where the guy's bouncing off the rocks.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, but the one where the
great.
bridge collapses and all the guys fall down.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I have trivia on how that was done, and it's amazing how that was done.
Oh, dude, that was pretty damn cool.
Yeah.
I have to say it was very elaborate.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, that's what I would sort of categorize this as. A very elaborate movie with a lot of money. Because they just must have built a bunch of on-set random shit, right? Like, I mean, it almost makes you think about Disneyland, like when you're going on a ride. I mean, really, it looks like a ride the entire time.
Where do you think they got the sound effects for the mine carts?
Oh, I know this.
Yeah.
Where did they?
Well, first it was our buddy Bert. Our buddy Ben Burt.
Ben Burt
who did this.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I know where he did it because I just read the Wikipedia page too.
Oh, that's good.
I'll let you say it though.
Oh, come on, John. You barely get to chime in on trivia. It's your time to shine, buddy.
Okay. All right, here we go. So what he did was he recorded roller coasters at Disney.
There you go.
And it all ties back
They turned off
Disney.
all the music and stuff for Thunder Mountain, and then they just recorded it as they went on like a silent run. So there you go. I mean, that's probably why.
Yeah.
Plus, it all looks like, the Disney sets kind of.
It really does.
It's like
really
Pirates of
does.
the Caribbean, any of those like kind of foam backgrounds, fake dirt, fake rock.
I will
type of
say
stuff.
I'm a little surprised at Ben Burt. That's really sort of that's pretty mundane for him.
It's too literal. Yeah, I agree.
Exactly. Yeah. That's the word I was looking for.
He didn't have any creative ideas.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no other way to do it. What else makes
No,
sense?
there is.
I know.
You get an ice cube made out of vodka and you roll it around the outside of a toilet bowl, and that's how you get the sounds of a minecart.
That doesn't sound good.
It's
There's no way
absolutely. It
that
sounds
sounds
perfect.
good.
It sounds
I don't know
perfect.
why the vodka is necessary.
Oh,
but
don't
still,
question
yeah,
it.
yeah.
Don't
It's
question
always
it.
good to have it around, I guess. Yeah.
It's because it freezes at a higher temperature. Therefore, the ice is a different structure.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense. Okay. All right, this all checks.
It changes the resonance.
There you go. Exactly.
Yeah.
You get it. Yeah.
So, yeah, that's about all I got.
What was I think I should have wrote it down. The first thing you said was pretty good. It was like chaotic What was it? I forget.
Well, the
but
first thing he said, they built a lot of stuff. That's
They
the first
built
thing
a
he
lot
said.
of stuff.
That
It's
goes
elaborate. It's
right on the
elaborate.
movie poster.
Yeah.
They must have built a lot of
They
stuff.
must have built
Stuff.
a ton of shit for this. Yeah, I can imagine lots of stages, lots of on set.
A whole lot of on-set stuff. that
Yeah,
was
right.
done.
I can feel TC avoiding a topic in this movie. I can feel
Oh
it.
yeah, I'm not.
Oh, I see.
I'm going to bring it up. Can I bring it up right
Well,
now?
you can bring it
There
up.
is
Go
definitely
ahead.
an interesting story going on here, and whoever Sheba is or Sheba or whatever.
Not even
there
that.
You go.
Oh, no.
So this movie, I think, I'm really confused about it too. But the Kate Capshaw character is just flat out annoying, and I hated every second she was
Yeah.
talking in this movie.
Yeah,
And she's so hysterical.
Yeah.
all the
And
time.
it's not funny.
Yeah.
It's just annoying.
No, and their
I
whole
know.
love interest is
I
really
know.
makes no sense. Like
He
like
hates
how
her, he
they
hates
could-
her, and then he wants to fuck her,
No,
and
but-
then they
but
have the
there's
stupid
like-
scene where they're in
It
fifth
was
grade and they're
just for the kiss
across the hall.
scenes,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
It was just the kiss scenes.
Yeah.
Right.
That's
As
all
it
they
would-
built up to.
Yeah, it just again, it's very very silly.
It was a
makes no
dumb
sense.
B story, though. That's why.
Yeah.
It was like such an
Yeah.
irrelevant B story that
Yeah.
you didn't even like give a shit. It was so bad.
That's
But,
this
yeah, it was
movie.
very
It's
strange.
like a third annoying, a third trying to be silly, but isn't fun in a silly way. It's just like stupid, kind of. Like if you think it's funny, it might be funny, but it's being
Yeah.
silly. That is objective. It's trying to be silly,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
the other third is so fucking dark that it's really hard to find any of it funny, especially when you have like child slaves and very
Right,
kind
right.
of
Zombies.
scary
Right,
scenes
right.
of like bugs and drinking blood and people dying and people getting their hearts ripped out. And then there's like a
Yeah.
guy getting bonked on the head and there's like a weird cartoon sound and shit. I don't think any of it jives. It's really
It is
weird.
Very strange.
It
It's like
was,
you
yeah,
starting with
that's-
a very strange musical number.
Can you,
Right.
compare that to the beginning of Raiders, like one of the
Oh,
best
oh, God.
openings ever,
Right,
and then you
right,
just
right.
have this weird fucking show
I had those
tunes
thoughts
thing.
too, Denny. Like this is a much different movie than the last one,
Yeah.
and not in a good way.
It's the
Not in a-
B-sides. It is the
It's just-
literal B-sides.
yeah,
they took
right.
scenes they had to cut out of Raiders, and then they shoved it in this one, and then they built
Did they
plot
really?
around the deleted.
Well, they had like
Oh,
some
wow,
things
I
that
didn't
like
know
the
that.
the wrath scene they had. I know that, right? That was one that they
minecart
had planned, and the minecart too.
the
Wow.
like, running behind the gong. That was also in Raiders.
Right. Oh yeah, that how they and in Club Obi-Wan. Did you see that?
Yeah.
The club was named Obi-Wan.
Very subtle.
But yeah.
Yeah.
But it does feel very
Why did
just
we watch
very
this
put
one?
together.
Because I
It's
remembered it being
fun.
good. There are definitely
Oh.
some memorable scenes. You'll remember some of the shit, TC.
Yeah.
Right?
I think
Like-
it's just tough because we're adults.
Yeah, that-
Again, it's the
maybe.
same problem.
no.
I had
Raiders
with
was
the first
awesome.
one.
What are you talking? Raiders.
I
was
mean,
awesome.
it was awesome, but I wasn't like enthralled, right? I wasn't like, oh my god.
Did this one make you think I wish I was younger because I think I would enjoy this, or were you just like kind of confused?
No, not as
Hmm.
much. It was more like I'm not younger, and I've already got this out of my system with the other one.
Yeah.
And
Why
now
is
I'm
there
just
so much
watching
blood
this to
in
watch
this movie?
Yeah.
Right.
And why the fuck are there monkey brains again? I
Yeah.
don't like this. This is stupid.
Snake
What the
surprise,
fuck?
dude. Snake
Yeah.
surprise.
Yeah.
This one I remember more first terrifying me than in.
I can see why those fucking. It did get
The
me when
heart
she
thing,
turns
man,
her
is
head. No, when she
freaky,
turns her
too.
hand over and there's that white
Oh,
fucking
The giant
thing
bug.
there, that
old-
got me.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
got me.
Yeah.
I jumped in my chair because I hate bugs.
Well, so you hate a lot of things. So there's snakes.
I hate most
there's
things.
bugs.
Snakes, bugs, spiders, any of that kind of shit. No thanks. I'm
about
more of like an
alligators?
indoors kind of guy.
What's
you know?
your reaction? Is it more of a, or do you scream? What do you do?
I'm like,
When-
oh
when-
fuck, oh shit, oh shit, oh,
Okay.
like that.
Like that might give me nightmares.
Right.
I've never seen that scary ass bug before.
Yeah, and it's like a fly. You know.
Yeah, I don't know what kind of gigantic.
I
stick
didn't
bug.
like all the cockroaches. Not a
No,
fan.
no.
Would you have stuck your fucking hand through the stupid thing? I don't know.
It's like, yeah,
I'd have been
sorry,
like,
Andy,
sorry,
you're
bud,
dead.
you're on your own.
Oh,
I don't
go
know,
find
man.
a stick. Let me go find a stick.
I wasn't so
Yeah,
grossed
you're
out
on
by
your
the
own.
bugs. I was grossed out by the fact that halfway through that hole, there was like a pocket of slime that she had to stick her hand through. Like, what the fuck is that? There's
Yeah.
bugs and
Yeah,
then
it's
there's
like-
slime. Come
I
on.
know
poop.
why.
I don't know.
Bugs. Yeah, where'd it come from?
I mean, if your
Wasn't
friends
you
were
cheat
dying, I certainly wouldn't go that slow. I'd like punch it or whatever, or like stick my hand in really quick and,
and then
search
just
around
start, yeah,
frantically.
right. Not like ease it in
Right.
as if it's gonna get
I mean,
better. or,
that trap
yeah.
was cool looking. The way they did that
But so impractically designed. I'm such a freaking old person now where it's like, all right, this is a trap, but the only way you set it off is by leaning on the wall in this one spot. That doesn't make any fucking sense.
And if you're like all of 10 pounds,
right,
it'll go.
They just both happen to coincidentally, one, lean on it, and two, bump it with their butt
for dramatic effect.
Right. Well, I mean, the joke was funny, right? I stood right here and you said lean against the wall. I mean, some of that banter was pretty funny.
He was great in it.
That was
his
funny.
Delivery was really awesome.
He was always acting like he was like trying to defend himself. Yeah, even when he wasn't saying, nobody was saying anything to him. He's like, it's not my fault all the way through,
The story is when they were casting, so they had to open casting calls, and he wasn't auditioning, but he was giving his brother directions behind the camera to act. His brother was the one auditioning, so then they got him to do it, and then that's how he was selected.
Oh, the brother was like, you motherfucker.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
He apologized to his brother in the behind the scenes as they told that story, yeah. Because he just had the look and the energy to like the person that they wanted. He was slightly younger, so they wanted a younger person. He just fit the bill.
And the brother never worked.
Yep.
Womp womp.
And then he went on to do the Goonies, and then he did small roles until he quit for a while, and then he was casting everything everywhere all at once. Now he's an Oscar winner.
And then the industry shut down.
Yeah,
so
there you go.
Right. Yeah.
Well, he can probably still get work because he likes the A24 role. So
he's got
right.
stuff lined up.
Yeah. This movie there are scenes that I really don't like watching it now. It makes you appreciate how not perfect, but like how well put together the Raiders of the Lost Ark movie is. Like there's not scenes where I'm sitting there kind of shaking my head and like feeling awkward and thinking, why did they put this in here? What point does this have to do with anything? I don't care about this plot. Like the whole scene where they're doing the exposition for what's coming in the plot in that village, I didn't care about any of that, right? Like that took 10 minutes. Like the first hour of this movie is just like the first 10, 20 minutes is a action scene. And then the next 40 minutes is like exposition of like the temple they're going to go into. They don't get to the temple until like an hour into this 2-hour long movie. And that scene was super slow. Harrison Ford's acting was terrible, I thought. He just looked grumpy and like he was mumbling his lines. Like it was pretty hard to understand the plot going forward. I mean, that's half the movie. The ridiculous intro with the bad dance number and the action that made TC laughed. I thought it was,
they're after
I was laughing at it.
That we never hear from again. We never hear anything about the diamond again or whatever that was. That was just like
that was just his first. That was just his little conquest.
And
that
I mean,
he
that
had
whole
for this.
first sequence, logically and linearly, didn't make any sense. Like there was the whole thing where he has a waiter friend, right? He has this waiter friend.
Who
what did he do? What did the waiter friend do?
I don't know, but he was part of the infiltration. But then it's also even dark there. He dies. This is our last adventure, Indy.
Yeah, but that acting was terrible.
Jesus.
It was such bad acting.
And also, right after the movie, it's just weird.
But it was weird how the people at the table saw the waiter and was like, "Wait a minute, I don't know that waiter." It's like, you guys know all the waiters in here. Like, don't they ever hire new waiters? And he's like, "Yeah, this is my buddy." And you're like, "So why is your buddy here?" "Oh, he's here to die. He literally didn't help me at all." I thought that the waiter gave him the drink and removed the poison, but nope. Indiana, an idiot, drank the fucking poison anyway.
I know.
I don't know. That was kind of like out of character for him. I mean, he was bumbling in the other one, but he wasn't stupid, right? I mean, he's kind of a smart guy. Like physically, he's bumbling and he makes stuff up as he goes, but he's not dumb enough to drink. A guy who just pulled a gun on him, a guy who just tried to rip him off, had the drink over on his side of a bar to drink it after he threatened to stab his freaking girlfriend or whatever.
Good thing they happen to have the antidote handy too. I mean, you know what? You just want to poison somebody, just poison them and then don't dangle the antidote for them to be like, haha, you could have this, but no.
And then there was the Benny Hill scene immediately following of both of them trying to grab different things on the ground as there was 100 shots of feet kicking the thing they were trying to go after. It's just like, I didn't like any of that this time. I thought that the plane scene where the two pilots had to climb over the sleeping bodies of the people they were going to escape from is a terrible plan. Get a plane where the friggin'
and how about the fact that they just cut away from the plane and like the plane was fucking going crazy and then they cut back to what was obviously a soundstage and they're not moving. I know. And it was like, this doesn't, they didn't try at all.
But even if they own that they own the cargo plane, so why not just shoot them in the plane or something? They don't need to go fly and abandon the plane. It's like they already were trying to kill him. It's anyway, it's just.
If they knew they were coming and they set up this plane anyway, couldn't they just wait at the airport and fucking just shot him? Like, I don't know.
Or the pilots just could have had guns and just shot him back there. They didn't need to go and like wreck the whole plane and parachute out. I mean, anyway, none of it makes sense.
How about how that thing exploded?
It makes very little sense.
How about how that thing exploded? No, it was just there so they would get to the next phase.
No, exactly.
And that was kind of how
utility.
Raiders worked too, because we talked about stupid things in that movie, but in that one they're excusable because there's so much other stuff going on.
And we're busy enjoying the scene we're in. Like, so we're not like, hey, this is dumb.
Yeah.
But you're like happy you got there, even though you might question how they got there.
And I think part of the problem with this one too is I never feel grounded in this movie. In the first and the third ones, they're kind of going on adventures with a purpose. In this one, you start off in a weird place. They're immediately running away, and they're running away, and they're running away, and then they crash and they slide down the thing. They're floating away, and then they're not doing any of this on purpose, right? The whole movie is like them stumbling, and then they find like this temple kind of, they go to the temple, they find the secret passageway in the room that Willie is staying in, right? Like he pushes on the statue and there's
then it goes through.
Yeah. Like they just stumble their way through the different areas.
It's just, it's coincidental and like sort of contrived, right? Like it just shows up out of nowhere.
It's like,
and
we need to get to this cage scene. So it was like literally how they wrote it was, we have the spike thing because that's cool. And I used to see that in the old comics.
It was cool.
How do we get there?
It was cool.
Well, they're in the temple here. How about we just have them find a secret passage and they just go down to the spike room? Yeah, it sounds good.
And then one guy in the back was like, "You guys don't think that's a little bit too easy?"
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. And they're like, "Shut up, Bob."
Yeah, Bob. We got Spielberg here for a limited amount of time. We got to do this before he moves on.
We're just putting the thing on the wall. He's going to push it. So
they had a lot of other cooler premises. Like it was going to be in China at first. Like there was going to be a chase sequence across the Great Wall. I don't know.
There's going to be a biplane chase scene that also got cut out. That actually got pushed to the third one.
That's basically all they're doing is reusing ideas after Raiders at this point. It's like
I mean, if it sells, the fuck, they don't care.
It sold. This movie made a shit ton.
It's so crazy.
Yeah. Just continuing to go through the plot. I mean, it does seem, after knowing that it is actually the B-sides of Raiders and just taped together with plot stuff, it makes
more sense because it's like they didn't write it, so they didn't have like a craft there. They just kind of figured it out. I mean, they try to thread it almost.
They try to thread it a little, like, oh, you've got these stones. They run into that village. The elder is like, you got to save our children and get the stone back. So you sort of get okay, now he's going to go save the children and get the stone. And so now you have a sort of a thread to help you through there, but it's really, it's very meager.
Yeah. Plus you get clearly from that scene that they stole the children and there's a rock he has to get. But that scene is like 10 minutes long, and I struggle to pay attention to all the other lore shit that they're doing because it's not good. It's not well acted. It's not interesting. It's hard to understand.
I mean, it's such a contrast with Raiders where it feels like real, not real, but it just feels serious in a way, like where they're talking about the Ark or they're talking about the history of it. Or you
have a scene with Harrison Ford on a teacher's platform, and all he's doing is saying lines, right? And if the dialogue wasn't good there, and if his acting wasn't good, then that would be boring as shit.
Exactly.
But his acting is good, and the story behind it is interesting to the point where, like, oh man, I'm excited now. Like they're talking about what we're going to do next. I want to see what happens. But in this one, it's like, I don't feel that because it's not well acted and it doesn't sound interesting.
Explaining it. They're explaining everything to you.
Yeah.
Like, oh, we have an antidote, so it must be poison. Oh, we have, right? Like there's all that, like, oh, well, we ended up in a strange place. Why? Well, we got in a plane crash. Naturally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do they get from the top of a mountain to a river? Well, we'll slide them down the hill. How do we do that?
They'll just fall. Yeah, no big deal.
We got that life raft thing.
Yeah.
What do you think? 3 pairs of skis on that plane? Nah, that's a little too unbelievable. How about they fly down on a raft? Yeah, that sounds good.
Do you think a 400-foot cliff is too much?
Nah.
No. Raft would survive it.
You go cliff to river to waterfall.
Those rivers are deep. Nobody will know.
There's already kind of a path in the snow that'll push the raft through the trees without crashing in any.
Naturally.
Yeah. So I think the scene, let's see if you guys paid attention. There's a 10-minute long scene in this movie where they're eating a bunch of gross shit. They eat a bunch of live snakes, they eat some bugs, they eat the monkey brains.
Why did they eat the monkey brains?
I'd eat the cockroaches. I'd eat them. I think that might be good. It looked kind of good. Open the belly,
very
suck out.
meaty.
Yeah. It could be delicious. You never know. Which food would you eat out of all those foods? The bug was my go-to. I'd happily eat the bug.
Oh, if you have to eat one.
Without a gun to my head, I would eat the bug. Everything else would
I'm
have to be a
going
gun
brains.
to my head. You're going brains.
I'm going brains.
Chilled brains?
Chilled brains. It's cold.
You think it's
great.
cooked and then chilled,
Oh,
or
it's
is it
not
just
cooked.
raw?
You're gonna get like some terrible brain disease from that. Some terrible like.
You're gonna get monkey brain
like-
syndrome.
You're like
Ooh, that sounds
Kuru
good.
or something. Yeah, it won't be good. It won't be good.
Nah, I'm going brains just to spite you.
I wouldn't go brains. Yeah.
But you're gonna die, so I'm still gonna spite you.
But I said it first, and I hate changing my mind. Fuck you.
Yeah, I'll go down with this fucking statement. All right,
It's basically like rabies. You'll overheat and be in pain for 3 days. Yeah,
Dude,
I'm picking that
I mean,
one.
back in the day, who wants to live long anyway? It's a fucking miserable existence. I'm going. Give me the brains.
There was a bunch of John. Do you have a pick on that one?
No, none of them.
Don't care. You just take the
Yeah.
ball to the head. That's what you do.
Yeah,
That's
right. Just
okay,
shoot me.
because
That's it.
Yeah.
Yep.
This is not where I wanted to be. I envisioned my life going.
They have the guy.
Join a cult, they said. It'll be fun, they said.
They have a guy, the actor
Jesus.
from Clockwork Orange and The Shining in this movie, and he's in the scene where they eat a bunch of the gross stuff. You know who I'm talking about? Grady himself. He's the guy who cleans up Jack Nicholson in the bathroom of The Shining.
Oh,
And he's
really?
like, "Oh, you
That's him?
corrected her, sir." You know, that guy.
yes, yes,
And he's also
yeah.
little Alex's father in The Clockwork Orange. That actor. He's in this
Wow.
movie. You guys didn't recognize
Nice.
him?
Not
No.
even.
He's
Didn't really know.
one of the 3 other people besides Harrison Ford that kind of talk to each other at the dinner scene. So you have
Mhm.
the guy who is like the manager of the temple who's pissed off at Indiana for
Right.
different reasons. You have the kid actor, and then you have like the white British general guy, and he's the white British
Right.
general guy.
Yeah. I remember
Yes,
that character.
yes,
I
yes.
just I didn't really make the connection.
I
yeah.
didn't make the connection
What
either.
the hell were any of those guys talking about during that scene? Just give me one thing they were talking about. Just anything. One of you.
The Thuggies, the history of the Thuggies, whether or not they were like talking about, oh, they're not really real. They don't even exist anymore. Something. Here's Bugs.
Is that really?
Here's
I mean, you could have made that up.
something,
That
something.
sounds like it would fit in
Here's
the plot
Bugs.
I'm
there.
pretty sure they were talking about like the Harrison was saying something about that this was the rumor that this cult was, and they're like trying to deny it. Oh, Dr. Jones, no, we don't do those sorts of things anymore. That's not a thing that we do here. We're civilized, blah, blah, blah.
So Harrison went in there and was like, "Hey, are you guys like, keeping a bunch
You
of
guys are
children
like-
in the basement?" And he's like, "Nah,
Yeah.
nah." And he's like,
I
"Oh,
swear,
okay."
why not? No.
So
Is that
pretty much
all right? So TC, I have
Right, because
no memory of this scene just because I don't pay attention to the dialogue because I don't care.
Why would you?
Exactly. So you're on the same page as me.
Yeah, right.
yeah.
It upsets the Maharaja. Where
I
he's
wasn't
like, we would
listening to
never
a
do
word
anything
the
like
guy
that.
said.
Yeah, I know.
So John was paying attention.
I just kept seeing bugs and the
that's
snake.
sort of distracted.
They opened the snake up, and I've had enough already.
Did you have to focus your brain to pay attention there, John, or were you just like happily listening to some of it?
I was just listening.
Got
Sorry.
nothing better to do. Fuck it.
Right,
Might as well
I'm
listen
here.
to these guys
They're
talk.
talking. I can hear them. And, so I'm going to just at least listen to what they're saying, sort
Okay.
of. But
Well,
yeah, it's not.
It's not interesting.
No.
Not really.
That scene where they turn into 5th graders and they just like stomp around like, "I'm the best you'd ever have."
Yeah, that's
Just
right.
like
I
in
just
her
met you
room, and they're
five-
like trying to pose next to their beds and stuff. That was so painful to watch this time. I
That
don't know
was
about
pretty
you guys.
awful. Yeah.
And
It
it,
was
didn't,
stupid.
it also didn't make any sense how Harrison Ford was getting ready to fuck in his room, and a guy was in there for a couple minutes. And when the guy started attacking him, Short Round was also in the room. There was 2 guys in that room.
Where did short come
They were
from?
just
Where did
hiding.
he come from? Yeah.
Yeah. The
That's
hell?
a good
That,
point.
that was where he injured his back.
She's not
like, in
coming,
that
he
scene,
said.
right?
Well,
Right,
was she going to? I mean,
Yeah.
sure.
All right.
Well,
Hey,
what?
we were here. I was going to
Didn't she know that you were both in here?
Yeah,
Right?
I'll admit I'm a sort of a voyeur, so I was
Yeah.
going to just let things play out, and we can do that later, okay? But now we're waiting, so I don't know. I'm on a time clock.
So that scene, TC, is where Harrison Ford herniated his disc in his back.
Oh, when they were fucking around? And
when
they
he
were-
did like the somersault and he kind of sat in like the lap of the guy because he did like a
Oh,
flip
yeah.
with the neck thing. He did the stunt and it fucked his back up.
Oof.
And before
That
that, they were
sucks.
doing elephant scenes, and Harrison Ford was talking about how sitting on an elephant is very uncomfortable because you're kind
Oh,
of
I bet.
sitting on like its backbone and its back muscles, and
Yeah.
he said it feels like it's splitting you in half. Is what he
Oh,
said.
shit.
I'm not even sure what that means, but that doesn't
Because
sound
it's just
comfortable.
so big and there's nothing
Yeah.
you can do.
So it's just like
and,
at
you
the
know.
bottom, just spreading
Yeah.
you with no thanks. Sounds terrible.
Oh, man. That's
So that he said that was
brutal.
the beginning of the issues, but then when he got flipped in that one shot that's in the movie, it herniated,
Wow.
which means they just get crushed together, right? That's basically what herniated means.
I don't know.
John, Dr. John.
Not
Not that kind of doctor. Okay.
Yes.
I think that seems right.
That seems right to me.
Or out of place. I don't know.
Or like slipped and tilted and
That's
smushed.
I don't know. We're gonna say it hurts.
Yeah, it's not good.
Yeah.
And so they kept
bad.
shooting, and they were just like icing it, and they had Harrison on a cot between takes, and they would literally like lift him up, move him to where he was supposed to be, and shoot. And then when they were done shooting, they'd bring him back and lay him down on the cot, like he was in bad shape. And they shot like this for a couple to a few days. Spielberg, after a couple days, called Lucas, and he's like, "Dude, Harrison's in a really bad spot. I don't know what to do. We're filming down here. He can barely move." And Lucas was like, "All right, I'll fly out." Was there within the day, saw the situation, was like, "Okay, we're stopping. Like, I don't care what happens. We can stop the movie. Like, this is too bad. We can't keep propping Harrison up. This is like a lawsuit or something. This is irresponsible."
Waiting to happen. Yeah, right.
So they flew him back to LA. They said that he had, I wish I wrote it down, but it sounded weird. He had, I think, back surgery, but they also mentioned it was like a papaya treatment or something like that.
What?
In LA,
Oh, wow.
and it took him 6 weeks to recover.
Oof.
So it could have been surgery and some type of like herbal whatever. I don't know what Harrison Ford is into in terms of like,
Yeah, it's California.
believes in that type of
Everybody's
stuff.
trying to skirt around the reality, which is you hurt.
Yeah.
So
He had 6 weeks off basically, and he recovered fully and is still recovered, luckily. But during that 6 weeks, they used his body double, and the scene where basically the entire conveyor belt scene where they're on the rock conveyor belt and it's Indiana versus that big guy.
Right, the guy before he gets sucked in.
Right, yeah. He's getting stabbed with all the voodoo doll shit.
With the voodoo doll dumb shit. Yeah.
Every shot in that scene, except for the extreme close-ups of Harrison Ford's face, are not Harrison Ford.
Wow. Good thing I wasn't really paying attention at that point.
I didn't know that was the
notice.
scene. I didn't know that was the scene watching it this time. You really can't tell it's not him.
Wow.
The guy moves like him. He's got the same clothes on. That's like half the battle right there.
That is kind of
Don't show his face.
Yeah.
Have the same clothes on.
Be the
We're pretty
same height
good.
and weight. You're all right.
Yep.
Yeah.
Movie magic, everyone. It's
Oh,
fantastic.
yeah.
It's a way to not fuck up the entire production for 6 weeks. Keep rolling.
Oh, they should have just went with that in the first place.
Yeah. Second unit. Film everything without Harrison. Just do face and shirt shots.
Get what we can first. See what it looks like. Then we can get Harrison in.
I don't know. We talked a lot of negative about this movie, but I like the end of it. Once they get into the temple, the whole like sacrifice scene is pretty damn intense. It's not fun,
intense,
but it's like really
it's well
intense.
done and scary.
Yeah.
Well
They're ripping the
acted.
heart out. Well acted. The guy like screaming as he gets burned up. All the old special effects are weird and kind of cool looking still. I don't know what they're doing with that lava pit, but it looks strange and frightening.
Yeah.
The bad guy is scary. The scene where they make Indiana drink the blood is like just scary stuff. It's not fun at all. I don't care that it's Indiana Jones's character. The whole idea of that is just like disgusting and scary, that people are like trapped underground and they're being brainwashed by this like, cursed blood and stuff. And then I like the Minecraft or the Minecraft.
Oh,
Minecraft scene.
The minefield. Yeah, the mine.
It's fun. That part's kind of fun, even though it's stupid.
I mean, the escape is cool, even though there's really, obviously, it's not believable.
Yeah.
But you don't really care at that point.
Yeah, the bridge scene is fun. The crocodiles are like overkill, but it's kind of funny how like,
I mean, when they cut away to the crocodiles, I was like, really? Did we really need it?
Yeah, it's pretty funny.
I was like, wow, they really just went for it. They're like, fuck it, what could make this more crazy?
Yeah.
Crocodiles. Do it. Yeah.
Fuck yeah, this movie rules.
Yeah. Right.
So yeah, if I ever watch this movie again, I would start at hour 1. I would start when they're, right after the scene, right before the pit scene, I think is when the movie gets good, which is right around the hour mark. The bug scene. Once Indy and Short Round start stepping on fortune cookies, that's when you should start watching the movie. That's what I think. John, you got anything to add there, John?
I think that's fair. No, that's fair. Again, the highlight is Short Round, and his interactions there as the sidekick are great. Like you said, his delivery is really good. He does have great lines to say, and he does lighten things, thankfully, even when all this stuff's going on. But yeah, But it's good. The minecart scene is awesome. The scene on the bridge is thrilling. It's good.
Mm-hmm.
It's really good. The standoff there is really good. It's like for that kind of an action scene, it's extremely well done. So yeah.
The water stuff at the end of the minecart chase scene is really good when they're like climbing
all of
to
that
escape.
when they're running from that stuff, again, really well done. far as like human sacrifice scenes go, pretty up there. Probably one of the top 10 human sacrifices.
Yeah, not too many like that.
And that
you
comes
know?
from, would you consider this a torture scene? I know you don't like torture scenes.
It's torture.
It's more of a murder scene, I guess.
It's more, well, it serves, at least to speak positively of human sacrifice, it serves a purpose, though.
Why not?
The idea, well, I'm just saying, compared to just torture, where you might be more.
Oh, you get
sadistic
nothing out
if
of
you
it. It's just
actually
personal
wanna hurt the
gain.
people.
It's not actually
you're just enjoying hurting the person. Maybe you're trying to get information, but that's usually bullshit, right? So, but with the human sacrifice, you're appeasing a god.
That's true.
And so
That's a very good point.
it's practical.
Yeah.
So it sort of puts it up there above torture in that sense. I guess if you really believe in it,
slides it to the realm of being justifiable.
Right. Exactly, because especially if you can legitimately, without instruments, pull somebody's heart out of their chest, you think the God, you're working pretty closely with the God there.
That's true.
So
That's true.
you really are doing something here if you're actually able to do that. Like, this isn't just for show.
How long do you think your
yeah.
head would stay upright if someone pulled your heart out of your chest?
Well, that's part of the magic, because even though the heart's out of the chest, it's still in your chest because it's beating and pumping your blood, because that, how the guy like goes down in flames and then the heart's in flames as if it was still with his body. So who knows what magic the God does there, where it's in two places. It's quantum or something.
Or something.
Ooh, do we see a multiverse coming in the Indiana Jones? Maybe that's what the fifth one is. There is time travel, so maybe
that's what you do. You know what you do? That's what you do. That's actually how it works. You don't really pull that person's heart out of their chest. You pull the other guy's heart now, but then why does his heart? I don't know.
What you do is you instead of pulling it out of his chest, you're actually opening a portal in front of his chest to another dimension where there is an equal person in another dimension. You're pulling his separate dimension self heart out while his heart
why
remains.
Does that heart explode in flames when the first person?
Because like in Looper, you're kind of matched.
Connected?
You're connected through your portal. So if one person loses a hand, then you lose a hand.
So all of a sudden, somewhere, some guys just do walking, and that's how they.
And then all of a sudden, boom! all of a sudden, his heart falls out of his body, and he goes, "Fuck!" And then he's dead in 1 second. But then 20 seconds later, his body bursts up in flames.
So versus like you walking by your buddy, whoa, that was weird. Plop.
Hey, buddy, you okay? Fuck.
You okay? And boom, then into flames.
Yeah.
Whoa. Okay.
That sounds right. I want to watch the movie where
that's
it's
good.
like a 3-minute long short where it's just the other dimension that's going on the same time in Temple of Doom. Yeah.
That actually could be kind of fun. Yeah.
Why didn't they pull out Kate Capshaw's heart? Why did they just throw her in the cage and throw her down? Why didn't they do the heart maneuver on her?
I don't know. Is it because he wanted Indiana to do it?
Well, no, they needed to save her. They needed to be able to pull her up from the flames. But if they already got her heart, that would have been weird. And what are you going to do?
Put it back in.
Who's going to put it back in, Mullet? No, you got to put it back in. You do it. I can't do it. I'm not communing with your God. I can't reach it.
How do I put it in? There's no up arrow on this thing. Which way's up?
What do I make her swallow it? She's not going to eat it. It's not going to go in the right place.
This must have been conversations. And they're like, all right, fuck it. We'll just not pull our heart out for no reason.
Yeah, let's not do that. It's going to get complicated.
Yeah.
We'll just stab her. But we want to have a nice dramatic scene where there's a chain and she's about to fall in the fire, and we're preventing that. I don't know.
Maybe it's because she didn't drink the blood. Because she didn't drink the blood, right? But the other guy was scared too, so he wasn't brainwashed. Never mind.
He wasn't brainwashed. Yeah, right. So yeah.
Oh, well, these are mysteries that we will never
That
solve.
nobody needs to answer
Yeah.
or have answered.
Are you guys ready for trivia?
Yeah.
Let's go.
I'm gonna not do a 2-episode one on this one. Does that sound good?
Yeah, that
That's
sounds like a
that's
plan. I don't
probably,
think you're going to have that many fans there.
This movie has the record for the most number of 70mm prints ever made for a single movie at 243. So this is kind of at the height of 70mm film and film in general. And I mean, that's a lot. 70mm costs a lot more to print. And
So
200
prints
would imagine.
meaning reels of the film that were printed out and handed out across
Right.
the world.
Yeah.
So
So they're very, I mean, like Oppenheimer right now is being shipped in 70mm print, but there's only like, I think 2 directors in the world. I think Quentin Tarantino is one of them, and Christopher Nolan that actually still film in 70mm and then show it. There's 2 theaters around here that have it. You need to be near a city to get it. DC,
Wow.
I'm sure you have one. John, I'd check
I'm
it out
sure.
if you do, because it's pretty sweet if you do.
okay.
I saw Dunkirk in 70mm and it was fucking awesome.
Yeah.
It's got a different quality to it. I would
sure it
say
does.
it's not even as sharp, but that kind of aids.
That kind of like helps.
Yeah, and it kind of wobbles a bit, which kind of
it's
is
flickery.
fun. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of stuff that's just different that isn't in like regular quote unquote movies. But yeah, fun fact there, most ever. This movie made a shit ton of money. It was a $20 million budget, and it made over $300 million. was the highest grossing movie of the year. It had a $43 million opening weekend, which was record breaking at the time.
Wow.
Hugely successful movie. And I don't know if you knew this, TC, but there was no PG-13 before this movie. This movie is still rated
Really?
PG. And this movie is the reason that this movie and Gremlins.
No
Plus
shit.
Gremlins.
Plus Gremlins.
Plus Gremlins, yeah.
But mostly this movie. Steven Spielberg produced Gremlins and directed this movie the exact same time, basically.
Yeah.
And both of them came out with PG, and they were kind of marketed towards kids because Gremlins was marketed as a Christmas movie. This one was marketed as, hey, there's a little kid in this movie, and it's Indiana Jones, so come get your kids to see it.
Family
and
fun.
people did go see both of them, and the parents were fucking pissed because they're both very scary movies. You know, Gremlins and this one have just murder and blood on screen all the time.
Yeah.
True.
But getting an R rating back then was still kind of like, you're not going to make a lot of box office money because there's like a stigma. Some theaters wouldn't even show it back then. So you really wanted to get a PG to make money with the movie. You know, Spielberg is a great director, but he's not an idiot. He wants to make the money too. Like that was always a goal for him.
Right.
So there's nothing wrong with that. It's part of the business.
But he loves to have those components. He loves to have the dark, the edgy sort of scare. He likes to have bits of horror stuff in there when, you know, certainly.
Yeah.
Right.
So, yeah.
Get a rise out of people. Yeah. This is the guy that used to lock his sisters in the closet and throw bugs on them and stuff like that, you know? Lawrence Kasdan, who did the script to Raiders of the Lost Ark, who actually his first two scripts were Star Wars Episode 5, Empire Strikes Back, and then Raiders of the Lost Ark. That's how that guy started his career.
He's good.
He was working on Temple of Doom and dropped off because he thought it was way too dark and not fun.
Oh, wow.
He didn't think it was this in the style of Indiana Jones at all.
No shit.
And it was kind of Lucas pushing it in a dark area, and he talked about how he was doing that on purpose. There's a lot of conflicting information, not information, but people who are involved in the movie, their thoughts change depending on what interview you listen to them. Yeah. Lucas will talk about how he wanted dark and how he liked the dark. But then he'll talk about how when they got the final product and they looked at it, it was too dark. Yeah, it's like, we didn't want it to be dark. And you're like, yeah, you did. You were saying dark
like, this
the
is
whole
way
time.
Too far.
Yeah. Spielberg talks about how he says like it's his least favorite movie, but he still likes it in some interviews, and some he says like he really doesn't like it. It's way too dark. He feels like it's his most impersonal movie. He doesn't like it how it's entirely subterranean. He always thought, I mean, he met his wife here, Kate Capshaw, the woman in this, became his wife 7 years later. They got married. So that's good. He met her on the set of this. So he credits this movie for that. That's the one positive thing he currently says about it. This movie's still kind of got a cult following. It's got a 7.5 on IMDb. It's got like pretty good reviews. A lot of people know it, I guess. It was popular. It's just a weird.
I mean, tons of people saw it, right?
Yeah.
Too. I mean, like, so.
Plus, it's in the middle of two amazing movies like Raiders and The Last Crusade.
Right. You kind of want.
So good.
It's just what's strange is there's no continuity at all between any of these, really. Like it's unlike Star Wars, or for sure, there's no like thread hardly, other than maybe the character, but there's hardly anything else that sort of like strings these movies together.
Holy Relics. That's kind of. I mean, it's like individual plots, I guess. But there's no. I know what you're saying. There's no like
you're not, there's no
episode
arc
long
across the films of anybody hardly, except He
kind of has different friends in each of the movies. There's
different
girls
love interests
in each of the movies. Yeah.
Again, it's like Bond in some ways. That was kind of the idea too. It's not like, I mean, the more modern Bond movies are a little more like there's some things going across the films, but yeah.
And the scene where the doors to the lava pit open, that's a lightsaber sound from Star Wars.
Oh,
nice.
Okay.
Yep, throw that in there.
Good.
So when Lucas and Spielberg both watched the first edit, they looked at each other and both said too fast. That was their
really?
That was their thoughts.
They padded out more.
They padded it out and I can't imagine they padded out the first hour. It must have been that feeling from the last hour, which is kind of nonstop. They added
I guess.
shots.
I mean, it's pretty, especially with that like mine scene.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot of tense shit going on.
Yeah,
I could see him trying to.
Plus,
slow down.
it's the huge mine scene and the water escape, and then they're on the bridge, and then there's fucking alligators, and they're like, holy crap. This
Not
is
to
a lot.
mention like 300, 400 cult members with
who are
swords.
Terrible at shooting arrows, all of them.
Yeah.
They went to the stormtrooper school.
Yeah. George Lucas wanted this to be dark like Empire. That was his
but
general thoughts.
You can't have it be, it's weird. Like Empire's dark because of the things that happen to the people that we care about. And then we're left on a cliffhanger for what's going to happen next. that's how it's dark. It's not dark because of the action sequences or something. It's more dark about what happens to these people that we care about, and then there's a consequence to that gets carried over. That's what really like makes Empire seem really weighty. Is that like you leave that film and like Luke's got his hand chopped off. He found out who his dad is, and Han Solo's frozen, and that's what gives that film sort of a darkness. Is how it like ends there.
And this film's just like, hey, how about child slaves? What do you think about that? We'll base it around that.
It's all still going to work out in the end. So like you mentioned this earlier, there's just a really inconsistency all throughout this. Yeah, happy, really charming child sidekick. You've got stupid like slapstick comedy, and then you've got human sacrifice and child slavery all like wrapped up together. It doesn't quite fit. It doesn't even feel like, I wouldn't even call this necessarily dark. It just has dark sequences in it. But I don't walk away from this film thinking that was a dark film either.
Yeah, I don't either. It's just visually dark and underground, so kind of dark.
There you go. That's literally dark.
Yeah. Lucas was going through a divorce at the time, so he kind of gave that up as a, maybe this is why I wanted to do it dark sort of thing.
Maybe.
All of the characters' names were named after dogs. Indiana was Spielberg's dog. Short Round was one of the producer's dogs, and Willie was Lucas's dog.
Oh.
Pretty good, huh? Don't need to be creative there.
Short Round is a strange name for a dog, even.
Short Round's a kind of weapon, apparently. I was looking it up.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, it's like a type of ballistic warhead or something like that.
Oh, short round. I meant, okay. A short round. I get it. I get it. Like a bullet.
Like a bullet.
I just thought it was just the two words, like you're short and you're round. Like I didn't really like think of it otherwise.
Is short round a single word, the bullet?
No, but I still wasn't. I wasn't putting it together as like ammunition at all. I was just thinking of like a small ball, something like that.
Which is a good name for a dog.
So, yeah.
The red dress so they did a bunch of dance choreography with Kate Capshaw, and she was very excited because she was kind of a dancer and she could sing too. And she got cast in this big ass role. She'd been in one thing before this, so this was a huge step for her. The dress they built for her when they were starting to shoot it was made out of super old sequins, like these sequins from the 20s and 30s, handmade dress specifically for her. Very stiff, couldn't move. So they basically had to throw away her entire section of the dance number. So when you see her in that scene, all she's doing is really walking towards the camera and back. And she kind of does some hand stuff, but like she was supposed to do the dance that everyone else was doing.
Oh,
and they just had to throw it away when they started shooting.
The dress is too tight.
Yeah. That sucks for her. She wasn't good at screaming, even though she screams over 100 times in this movie. They had to teach her on set how to scream.
Really?
Yep. There's behind the scenes footage of them doing it. It's very strange.
Huh.
Do they have a professional screamer come in?
Spielberg's doing it. Spielberg's trying to tell her how to do it.
Scream?
Yeah.
Hmm.
They wanted to film this in India, but the Indian government got the script, didn't like any of the negative stuff, and started making changes and sending it back. And one of the producers, after months at a time, just like was saying, like, "Fuck this, we can't make this. If we want to make this movie that we're trying to make, we can't make it in India." So they went to Sri Lanka instead. They actually filmed it really close to where they filmed Bridge over the River Kwai. Same general jungle area. The scene where they're getting the exposition from the leader of the tribe there, kind of the older looking guy. You ever watch this movie again? Notice how he says his lines and then he pauses for approximately the same time. I won't do it again, but for approximately the same time for the period of time
I did
that
not
he's saying
pick up on the fact that you were trying to mimic him at all.
That's right. Sorry.
So he pauses for about the length of time for the words that he says, because what they're doing is that he can't speak English and Spielberg is on the other side of the camera.
So
and
like
Spielberg
feeding him the line?
is saying the words in English with the hand movements, and the guy who can't understand him is mimicking his movements and mimicking the words. So there's pauses in between because he can only be fed like 3 words at a time.
Right,
yeah. But that was why there's pauses there. And they just edited it to remove Spielberg from that.
Cool.
Kind of weird. You can just get an Indian guy who can speak English, like
right. But not a guy who looks all old and wizened like that. But they wanted that look,
There was supposed to be another snake scene, but Kate Capshaw was having a panic attack on set, looking at all the snakes, and Spielberg felt so bad for her that he's like, "All right, we'll cut it out. We'll cut it out." And then she's like, "All right, great." And she calmed down. And he's like, "All right, we'll cut it out if you promise to do the bug scene."
Oh,
and at
no.
the time, she was like, yeah, okay, that's a good deal.
Oh,
I'll do the
God.
bug
And
scene.
he's like, I got you now.
Yeah. So later on, when they were doing the bug scene, she was getting really nervous again because she remembered the panic attack. And she somehow got a hold of tranquilizers, and she took tranquilizers for that scene.
Oh, wow.
And she was mimicking how she was on set. There was footage of it. And they're like, all right, Kate, we're going to pour some bugs on you. She's like, yep. All right, we're going to throw some really big ones on you now. Yep. Sounds good.
All right.
Just totally cool.
Just let's get rid of it.
Yeah,
Let's
she's like,
get
this
it
is
over
going to be
with.
one day. We'll get it done. We're good.
Wow.
And Spielberg credits their marriage to the fact that he was so nice to her by letting her skip the snake scene. Dude, she was having a fucking panic attack.
Wow.
They're still married, by the way.
Yeah.
That's
They
crazy.
got married in 91 and they're still married. So
Dang.
that's good to hear in Hollywood, I think. You don't usually hear about people getting married to people for a long
Especially
period of
when
time.
they meet
No,
when
you
they meet
don't.
on set. you
Right.
know, I mean,
Yeah, you think there's like, something naughty going on when it's a director and a main actress who hasn't been in anything else, right? You think like
right. Yeah.
something
It's just-
bad. But nope. Spielberg, great guy by all accounts. The bats were real. I think we actually talked about this. Let's see if you guys remember this. In the Bridge Over the River Kwai podcast, we talked about how the bats were pissing on people because there were so many of them.
Mm.
So all the
I
cast and
vaguely
crew were getting
remember that.
pissed on.
Yeah.
So they didn't talk about the pee in this one, but they were filming in the same areas, and all those shots of the bats were real. Because in this area of Sri Lanka, there's just fruit bats that every evening just fly overhead. There's like shit tons of them.
Oh.
Just what happens in the area. The inside of the bugs was custard, and the inside of the monkey's head was custard and raspberry jam. Ooh, that sounds pretty good to me. I think
Ooh,
TC
yeah.
chose correctly.
Oh,
I'd have that normally. Sounds
I
great.
would.
The eyes were glued to the bottom of the soup bowl, and it was pretty hard to get them off. So they had to do that take a lot because usually Kate could only get like one of the eyeballs to pop off in like a short period of time. So she's really scraping them off there, bottom of the bowl. Spielberg thought the spike chamber scene was the best scene in the movie and the only scene he talked positively on.
Not even the mine carts. Come on.
No, not the minecarts. He didn't say that much good about those. He didn't like it how, to him, it seems like the shots were repeated too much because they built this track in a sound studio that just went around in a tight circle, kind of.
Oh,
And
so
for
they
all
had
the
to
different
kinda-
shots, for the different elevations, they would just change the lighting and put the camera in different places. And apparently to him, he knows the layout so well that it just seems like fake.
It
or
looks all the
whatever.
same to him.
Yeah.
It didn't. It played well.
I thought it was pretty
I
good.
didn't-
I thought
yeah.
the shots of them looking down into the lava were good.
Yeah.
Even though that was pretty ridiculous that it made the jump, it looked cool. Like this is before
Yeah.
CG and stuff. I don't know how the fuck they did that.
Mm.
There's the scene where Willie or Kate Capshaw is trying to strangle a big brute guy from the back. No, she's getting strangled from the front, and Short Round comes from the back with a stick and hits the guy on the head with a stick. And it was a balsa wood stick. It was supposed to like be protective, but it was so weak that it snapped in half, wrapped around the guy, and smacked Kate Capshaw in the face right under the eye. And it gave her like this sports line, black line thing, under her eye.
Yeah, right. Like the, yep.
And I don't know what this was, but the very next day, it was so bad that everyone, including Spielberg and all the cast and crew and all the actors, came to set with makeup on that were making fun of her black eye. I don't know. Was it making fun of it, or was it kind of like in
Or like
solidarity?
standing in solidarity.
Yeah, but it's also like, we injured you. We're gonna do this? No,
We're
I don't
gonna
know.
now make a big deal out of it. I don't know.
Maybe she was freaking out or something, and people knew, and they were.
She seemed
I
pretty
don't know.
calm for the most part throughout the movie.
Yeah.
She actually, some of her interviews said she had a really good time making this movie.
Hmm.
Some of them
She
say
got-
the
yeah.
character was misunderstood, but then some of them say that she hated the
What-
character,
I mean, what
um,
character? I don't get. Fine.
the screaming, useless idiot character.
Right.
Yeah,
I mean,
right.
there really wasn't much of a character there. I don't really see how she could be misunderstood. Like,
Yeah.
it's not like there's any depth there to be misunderstood. There's very little to understand there.
Hmm.
Agreed. There weren't as many storyboards in this one because
No.
Spielberg wasn't on board with any of the ideas going forward. Unlike Raiders, where he's like, I love all these ideas. Let's storyboard the shit out of them because I know I want to put these in. So like, even the scenes that were cut from Raiders were already storyboarded and sequenced for this movie. So for like the minecart scene, they didn't even have to do any work for it. It was already like done in
That's why
pre-production.
those worked really well,
Yeah.
baby, because those are ones he was enthusiastic about.
And none of the other stuff they did, he was enthusiastic about at all. So there were no storyboards. So they were kind of winging it the entire shoot, which probably is a very good reason why it doesn't seem like it's cohesive at all.
Right.
Right?
Right.
So got to storyboard that shit. That's like, if I were to learn anything, if I had a career in front of me and my next definitely at least 40 years of life. You know what I'm saying? High fives.
He's a storyboard guy.
I would go for storyboards. That seems like you can't go wrong with a storyboard.
Oh, you can. I'm sure you can.
Oh, you can? Shit.
Oh, I'm sure.
All right, we're going to start watching bad movies with really elaborate storyboards. I think that's
yeah.
how I might
We'll see
unlearn that lesson.
If they even exist.
Yeah.
Right. I see
This
what you're
Nicolas
saying.
Cage storyboard. That's the next.
They're like, oh, we
idea.
tried to storyboard it, but then we got Nicolas Cage, and
He
we got
ate the
this
paper.
instead. Yeah, and now we've got some fucking movie about an island. Oh wait, that's Sean Connery.
So in Sri Lanka, when they were trying to build the bridge scene, just upstream of that shot they were shooting, there was a dam being built. So there happened to be a bunch of real dam engineers in the area, sort of. And they hired a bunch of these guys to design this bridge. So that bridge was real, going across that cavern. Inside the ropes on the handrails and the foot areas, like the four corners kind of the bridge, there was steel, kind of a steel rope hidden. It was very, very safe. It's a very good bridge. And they filmed a lot of it up there. Steven Spielberg, terrified of heights. Cinematographer, terrified of heights.
Oh, shit.
Problems there. So, like, you can kind of tell that they shot. Steven said he could get 30 yards out on the bridge, but he could never get to the middle. So they actually had to get like another cinematographer or like a guy with the camera to go to the middle shots. But yeah, he was basically on the cliff. He's usually in there, but for those behind the scenes, he was far away. But the scene, the coolest special effect of the movie that they talked about was the shot where Harrison cuts the bridge in half and how that works. So it looks pretty damn real. And when I watched it, I was like, this isn't CG. This isn't overlaid. Like, what is this? They built these dummies with mechanical parts to it. And when they were looking for a dummy builder, one of the production engineers with 2 weeks left went up to Spielberg and was like, who's building these dummies? We have this shot in 2 weeks. And Spielberg went, you, how about you? You can do it. He's like, what? Fuck. I haven't planned this. I don't know what I'm doing. They took a bunch of kind of mannequins with flexible joints. They added mechanics to them. And then what they did is they put a literal rubber doorstop in a switch on each of the dummies that when that rubber doorstop was pulled out, the switch would close. All of the mechanical parts would start flapping around and stuff. So they posed all these dummies on top of the bridge. And the idea was they'd tie that doorstop to the bridge. So when they fell, it would pull it out and they'd start flapping around. So they'd just be still on the bridge. And when they're falling, they'd start flapping around. That was the idea there. And then they had all 4 of the steel ropes were tied to explosives. So they needed to blow all 4 at once because they didn't have the time or money to rebuild this bridge. And if they only blew, less than 4, the thing wouldn't fall. It would still just be one steel thing. So they needed to catch it. So they had 8 cameras rolling when they were doing this.
Jesus Christ.
And they blew it up and everything worked perfectly. All of the dummies started flailing around like humans. It's so cool.
Looks good.
It's so cool. It's so stupid.
That is pretty impressive.
It's so blunt.
Yeah. And like how much work went into that, right? So much.
Yeah. People were like cheering pretty hard on the set after they filmed it and stuff.
Like, yeah.
Just like, a rope tied to a doorstop. That's how movies are made. Fucking awesome.
Right.
Win an Oscar for best special effects right there.
Yep.
Yeah. Harrison Ford. So he was going back to the beginning of the bridge thing. When they got to the bridge, Spielberg was freaking out. And to show off, because Harrison Ford is a fucking baller, apparently. He's not afraid of shit. He just took off running across the bridge. And there's footage of him just sprinting on the bridge, one side to the other, not using the handrails. Just the thing is bouncing all over the place. He's just fall out over the bridge just to show off. That motherfucker. He's not afraid of anything. It's kind of amazing. I didn't know that about Harrison Ford before doing these couple episodes of him just like, I don't give a shit about snakes. I don't give a shit about bugs, rats, whatever you got. I'm cool. Heights, fuck it. I can do whatever. Underneath the car, behind a car. I'll do my own stunts.
Right.
I'm good. I'm good for, for all of it. You guys respect him more because of knowing that, or do you not care?
It's interesting. He's I'll be grumpy and miserable, but I'll do everything.
Yeah. And once that paycheck.
Or maybe he's like happy-go-lucky as he's doing it. I don't know.
Paycheck wins.
He enjoyed doing this movie. He just got injured. By all accounts, he did not dislike, unlike Blade Runner, which he'll very clearly state that he did not like doing that movie. He liked this one.
It's like such a win, that franchise, too. I mean, he's the stud.
Yeah. Maybe the last thing I have. Did we finish talking about PG-13? Kind of just mentioned it was this one.
Yeah.
Did we talk about how Spielberg called the MPAA directly and proposed it himself. And he actually said you can call it PG-13 or PG-14. I don't know. He just wanted like a rating system where he wouldn't constantly have to be recutting his movies to get a mass appeal sort of thing. He just wanted that PG in there. He didn't want the R.
title.
Right.
Right.
He's like, give me the PG. We can put a 13 on it, but I want that PG. Please let me make bloody movies. Come on.
Right.
So it was him doing it, and he's proud of it because he thinks it kind of opened up the movie industry since then, which I think is kind of true. Even though these movies could be rated R now. I mean, PG-13, you can't show blood in really right now. Last piece of trivia I have is probably not going to be that good, but I thought it was kind of fun. The scene where they're on the bridge that's been cut and they're hanging on the wall. You have the shots of the people climbing on the wall is shot in London. There are some close-up shots that are done afterwards, a shot in LA. I'm already regretting doing this. And then the alligators shot in Florida.
Oh, yeah?
Oh,
you
yeah.
would never have guessed either one of those.
3 different places, all being cut together.
Wow.
That's movie magic right there, everyone.
Oh, yeah.
That's why we do it. That's all I got. Would you guys put this in the top 250?
No.
Hard
no.
Do you regret your decisions this week?
Yes. Oh, wait.
Which
Is that
one?
different than last
all of
week?
them. Yes, all of them.
Yeah, all of them.
Well, TC, hold this
Every
feeling, because
one.
however negative you think your feeling is now, you're going to feel even more negative starting right now.
Can we post?
Okay,
Can we stall?
what are we gonna watch? What are we doing?
We're doing the very last silent movie on the list. The highest rated silent movie there is. The last Charlie Chaplin movie on the list. It's one of the very few black and white movies, so it's really doing a big check off the things, TC. So we're just going to rip the Band-Aid off.
It's
Is
doing
it
a
the
check off on the things
oldest
I
movie
hate.
we have left.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, if I come in angry, you'll know why.
Yep.
We'll be getting it over with.
Yeah. We did it. We did all the Chaplin ones. Look at that. We're so educated.
I don't remember any of them, so I'm glad that we're really working hard.
Mustache, top hat, duck feet, big shoes. Come on. That's all you need to know.
And throwing a
Wayfish
turkey.
girl.
No, I remember the turkey. Running around with the turkey.
Oh, you remember the turkey?
Yeah.
Okay. What
I
about the
got
corn on the
turkey
cob that spins around?
That was funny.
That was pretty good.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, I guess I did learn.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, fucking A.
You got 2 memories. Great. It's been 7 years.
I got 2 memories. Yeah, right.
All right. That's it. Next week, guys.
All right.
City Lights, 1931.
Sayonara.
All right, guys.